All right, let's talk about testing. I'm going to tell you something. We could run not just one session about testing, not just 1 week. Yeah, we could run an entire bootcamp just about testing. Testing is a huge world. Yeah, it's insane how many aspects we can cover when talking about testing. And obviously, testing is a live world. Yeah, it keeps evolving every single day. Well, not every day, but it keeps changing a lot in a positive way. Yeah, but it is sometimes complicated to be up to date with everything, all the new techniques, all the new tools, and everything. All right. So if I ask you, we employers tend to ask the same questions. Yeah, and one of them is, what do you think about testing? So tell me, guys, high-level thoughts about testing. What do you think about this? This is, yeah, go for it, Alaya. Mm-hmm. 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 That's interesting. I like your point of view, Alaya. I think there is a point of romanticism in your opinion, right? Because testing, I don't necessarily believe proves that your software works correctly, but hey, at least it's better than nothing, right? So definitely, testing has many benefits. One of them, and that's probably the most obvious one, is about ensuring the quality, or not ensuring, but ensuring some sort of quality standards at least. You may have an idea, you may implement the idea in a wrong way, you may test that your wrong idea works fine, fine in a wrong way, and your test will prove that the idea, satisfies your expectations. But if your expectations are wrong, the test will be wrong as well. So, tests are not the holy grail. Yeah. However, they massively help. So when talking, let me add a new file here. So our reasons to having these reasons why we should test our code. So first of all, to ensure what we've done works fine. Yeah. And that's something that applies in the short term. So if I build a new component, for instance, today, I want to test that it works fine today. But also, what happens if someone, could be myself or someone else, breaks my component 6 months later? Yeah, every time you build a new feature, are you retesting your whole application manually? No, you are not. Even if you get the feeling, yeah, I like to play with everything, blah blah. It's just a matter of time that your app will grow enough that it is impossible from a human perspective to test everything you've done in the last few years. Yeah, so that doesn't scale. So you need some automated mechanism to evaluate that your app is still working. Yeah. So that's the first advantage, to ensure that we don't work fine. There is a second advantage, I'll talk about that later on, which is to ensure that your code is simple enough. Yeah, that's a bit strange, but I'll show you later on how adding tests to your code is a healthy way to check that your code is simple enough. Why? I'll tell you something. If I write a very complex piece of code, it's gonna cost me a lot to test it. To some extent, it's gonna be not impossible, but almost impossible to test. So if I can test my code, that's a way to prove that my code is simple enough. Yeah. And there is a third reason. And the first one, it's obvious. Every developer talks about that. The second one, that's okay. Yeah, it's relatively easy to figure out. The third one is some sort of hidden. It's really strange to find a developer who talks about the third reason. Something a bit off topic. One of the students of Codery this week, she got a job at Sky TV. Sky is probably the best company you can work as a developer in London. And Sky really encourages that third point that I'm going to show you in a minute. Let me present you, before talking about the third point, let me present you a problem. Imagine I'm creating a function called sum, A and B, yeah? And then I do return A plus B. All right, so now I want to add some comments here. So sum function adds two numbers and returns the result of adding them, something like that. Let's talk about comments. Guys, I'd like to know your thoughts. What do you think about adding comments in your code? It is really important. You said, Max. Okay, why? Interesting. All right. Yeah, I completely respect that, Max. Let me tell you my thoughts. Sometimes I tell you, when we come across a pattern and there are two ways of solving that problem. Sometimes I used to say that I'm not very opinionated. If option A is better than option B, it depends on your personal preferences, blah, blah, blah. When talking about comments, I am strongly opinionated. Yeah. And the reason why I'm strongly opinionated is based on my experience and based on the people I've been working with. Yeah, that's something that is probably not obvious to realize. Yeah, and I'll tell you something. I wasn't that opinionated in the past, or maybe I was opinionated in the other direction. But, and I remember I learned that lesson at the Sky. Yeah, I remember when I joined Sky, I used to add comments, and one day a senior developer told me, "Don't do that," and I learned the lesson. And since then, I agree with that person. The thing is, there are. Of course, yeah, I see the advantage. Adding comments, it documents your code, blah, blah, blah. But there are many disadvantages. First of all, that comment, lines number 6 and 7, is bullshit. Do you really need to explain what your sum function does? Not really. The code should be self-explanatory. You shouldn't need to explain what your code does. I should be able to understand what that function does just by looking at lines 8, 9, and 10. And if that code is too complex, then I need to break it down into smaller functions until it becomes readable for other developers. That's reason number one why comments are not great. I'll tell you another reason, and this is arguably the most important one, because yes, software scales, eventually software gets complex, and sometimes you need help. Yeah, okay. So I could understand that we don't live in an ideal world, and sometimes you need to explain things. Yeah. However, the second reason is more important. I've seen many. You can't imagine how many times I've seen something like that. Can anyone see what the problem is? That's correct. Comments get old very easily. Yeah, I'll try to. I'm presenting the problems of adding comments, and also I will present in a minute how do I get rid of that problem. Yeah. So yeah, first of all, before trying to find an answer to the problem, let's try to highlight all the different issues related to comments. Yeah. So you see that comment. I mean, imagine that I'm new in the team, and I need to do whatever with that function. I got a comment, fantastic. That will help me a lot trying to understand what the hell is going on. Some function adds two numbers. What the hell? That function doesn't add two numbers. Guys, how many times I have to tell you, if you are typing, please mute yourself. Yeah, it's just a matter of respect. I don't really care if you don't pay attention, but if you don't pay attention, at least don't prove that you don't pay attention. Okay. Cool. That's all right. So you see, guys, you got A and B, and then we add a third argument. But then the command is out of date. So that's weird because that's creating a lot of confusion. So a comment is supposed to help in the process of understanding how your algorithms work. But in this case, it's not helping. It's on the other way around. I prefer not to have any comment, because if I don't have any comments, it will take me 30 seconds to understand what the function does. But if I got a comment, I will struggle for 10 minutes because they tell me something wrong. It's pointing me to the wrong direction. You see? So developers used to forget about that comments should be updated. And that's why many companies say, no, don't add comments. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah? So then, if we cannot add comments, okay, fantastic. The code should be self-explanatory, but it's true that if sometimes the code is complex enough, I start playing with reduce, map, filter, sometimes it could be complicated. So how can we comment our code? By adding tests. So tests are useful to document your code. If I come across that function, and I don't really know what the function does, I will check the tests associated to it, and it will massively help me in the process of understanding what that function is supposed to do. And that's what I would like to do today. I would like to create some tests, and you will see how the tests help you to understand how the code works. Okay? Back to the comments thingy. I mean, I'm quite hooligan talking about comments, but that doesn't mean I never add comments. There is, to me, probably only one exception about comments, and that exception is when you need to do something very weird. Yeah, hopefully you don't need to do weird things often, but it is true that sometimes, because of whatever reason, I mean, what if you need to do, what the hell, why the hell do you initialize a variable I to 8? Yeah, of course, I will create a test and I will explain it, but sometimes explaining the code is not about saying I do this because of that. Sometimes you need to write maybe 20 lines of comments because there is such complex logic underneath. There are so many things to deal with that in this particular case I test the code, so this is not against tests, but on top of that I provide a very long description about why we are doing that. But once again, that's something exceptional. That's not the rule. Yeah, that's not definitely the rule. Any questions so far? Okay, so again, when talking about tests, we can follow many different approaches. Today, I would like to talk about one of them. On the 15, Vicky will present a slightly different approach because she will introduce React testing. Yeah? So testing has many different levels. Today, I would like to talk about the most fundamental one, which is called unit testing. Unit testing, it means I got a function, sum. So if I call the function with 3 and 5, the function should return 8. If I call sum with 2 and 4, the function should return 6. That's the type of testing I'm going to follow today. Yeah, that's the most simplistic type of testing. You call a function, passing some data, and then you expect something back. Yeah, that's unit testing. This is also called some sort of black box testing. Yeah, because you call a function, you don't care about how the function is actually implemented. The only thing you know is if I pass this data, I should get that data back. Yeah. Actually, these principles are followed by the Codery platform. You know, when you are running some training exercises, that's pretty much what you got, right? You got that, and then you have to create an algorithm. You have to create a function to satisfy that requirement. Yeah, that's essentially what Codery does. So now, can anyone tell me what pattern is associated to that strategy? You know, I create, first of all, the expectation. If I have a function called sum and I pass 3 and 5, the function will eventually return 8. And then once I got the expectations, then I create the logic associated to these expectations. Does anyone know the name of this pattern? So let me help you a bit. So we run the test first, and then we run the code. It starts with T. That's correct, guys. That's what we call TDD. That's a keyword. Oh, someone is. Who is joining? Who is that person? I don't know. So, yes, that's TDD. Yeah. So TDD, test equal means test-driven development. Yeah. And what test-driven development means, I don't know who the person is, guys. Sorry. So what test-driven development means is you first of all test your components, your functions, whatever, your algorithms, and then you build them. That's mind-blowing. That's mind-blowing. Guys, you know when any car manufacturer creates a new model, the way it works is they build a car, and once the car is ready, they test it. You know, guys, this crash test, when they hit the cars against a wall to make sure if the driver survives to the accident. You know, this sort of crash tests. Yeah. So, but the way it works is we need the car first, right? And once the car is built, once the car is ready, at least a prototype, yeah, then we test it. We test how safe it is. The same thing applies to smartphones. You know, companies, they test smartphones, right? What happens if you smash your phone against the floor? They test these things, yeah? They test them. But you need, so when talking about hardware, you need the product before you test it. Every single product that you can buy anywhere has been tested, right? When talking about software, it's on the other way around. You test the product before it even exists. And that's mind-blowing. Imagine that you go to BMW and you tell them, no, we're going to test the new BMW, the new car, but let's hit it against the wall before we build it. It's like you're crazy, right? It doesn't make sense at all. So that's why TDD only makes sense when talking about software. And I'll tell you something. If you check on YouTube or any other source of information, blogs, whatever, many developers will tell you, yeah, advantage of TDD, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to be very drastic, very pragmatic. I don't care if you don't understand the advantages of TDD. Just do it. Just follow it. Because this is one of the things that is, to me, impossible or very, very, very difficult to find the value in the short term. I could be talking about TDD for hours, but you won't really see the advantages. In theory, yes, but in reality, it will make your life way more complicated. So, I'll tell you something I heard from someone else a long time ago. I don't care if you don't like TDD. I don't care. That's your problem. It's not mine. Just do it. Just follow TDD. It's just a matter of time, depending on your ability, your skills, the project you work with as well. It will take you weeks, months or years to realize that following TDD was great. Yeah, but just do it. Just do it. Yeah? Many developers in a job interview, when you ask them, what do you think about TDD? Yeah, that's great. Blah blah blah. So they explain the advantages really well. Yeah, but guys, Linus Torvalds, the creator of Linux, is the guy familiar to any of you? All right, so you know Linux, right? The operating system. So the creator of Linux is Linus Torvalds. So this is one of the most relevant figures in software history. Yeah, it's Finnish. So this guy is very opinionated about everything. It's just a character. Yeah, he always have bold statements about everything. And you may agree, you may not disagree with him, but it is obviously one of the most respected respected persons in the coding scene. Yeah, he's the creator of Linux. Nothing more, right? So he has many famous quotes. One of my favorite ones is, "Talk is cheap, show me the code." Yeah. So what that means? Guys, be ready to prove your talent in a job interview. The employer is going to ask you, what do you think about testing? What do you think about TDD? And of course, no one fails. I've never seen any person telling me, oh, I hate TDD. I mean, I hate testing. I heard that from developers, but having a beer, privately, but never in a job interview. Even if you don't like testing, even if you don't like TDD, no one goes to a job interview to say I don't like testing, because that's a suicide. So everyone says, yes, I like testing, I like TDD. But if you say that, the employer, in the majority of the occasions, will ask you to prove how much you like it. So to me, it feels very weird having a chat with a developer. Do you like TDD? Fantastic. Then prove it. Prove how much you like it. And then when you see that the developer is unable to follow TDD, you realize that that was just a waste of time, because he or she was unable to prove why he or she liked that. Yeah. So TDD, guys, that's very important, and I'm gonna explain you today how to do TDD. So thanks to TDD, essentially, we will highlight the second aspect. Yeah. Because with TDD, the main advantage, and again, I don't care what you think about the advantage, because you may agree on that, but once you start doing TDD, you will say, hey, fuck off, this is too complicated. Yeah, but I don't care. So one of the main advantages of TDD is it helps a lot to build simple code. Yeah, because you have the test first, so then you are only gonna do whatever the test tells you. That's why this is called test-driven development. I've seen in many occasions, guys, as part of conflicts and particularly team apps, people building algorithms, for instance, React components with so many if-else, so many scenarios, so many possibilities, and that's not great, because your code should satisfy a bunch of expectations, nothing else, nothing more. Otherwise, you are over-engineering, you are delivering more than expected. And that's not necessarily a good thing, because you are making your code more complicated. The code will become complicated, right, naturally. So don't make it extra complicated. Yeah. All right. So let's present an example. So I'm gonna create a new folder. Let me call it student, for instance. Yeah. And as part of a student, I'm gonna have student.test.js. Look, you see, the test files have a special suffix .test. You may see some tests have the suffix .spec. Yeah. Again, talking about testing is a huge wall, so there are many different flavors, there are many different accents. Yeah. But this is one of them, student.test. So let me show you the structure of a test. So First of all, I'm gonna create the title of my tests in plural. Yeah. So describe is a function that is offered by the test runner. I'll show you how to run tests later on, but describe is a keyword where you can specify the title of your test suite. So for instance, I'm gonna type something here like student component, something quite generic. Look at the syntax, guys. The describe method receives two arguments. First of all, the title of the test, and then a callback function. That's a function, you see, like map, find, filter, reduce, whatever, where we can do our magic. Then the way we can run tests is by typing it, and that's the same syntax, the title of the test. So just testing for now. Yeah, I will rename that obviously in a minute. And then another callback function with the content of your test. So how my test is going to look like. Pay attention to the syntax, guys. Expect, then the condition, true, dot, to be true. That may sound familiar to some of you because you are following that this coding styling in the platform in React, TypeScript, and other languages and frameworks and libraries. Yeah? Expect true to be true. That's obviously okay, right? That's obviously valid because true is true, right? So that test, even if it's a bit stupid, it's really stupid, but it should be enough to check whether our testing infrastructure is okay. All right, so now the question is, how can I evaluate if that test passes or not? Look, from the console, you have to run npm run test. One of the beautiful things about Create React App, about what you are doing with Conflicts, the portfolio, the team app, is that when you create the apps, the testing framework, runner, environment, library, I don't want to be very technical here, but the testing infrastructure is already set up for you. So you don't need to install anything. You don't need to install npm, none of that. Everything is already bundled. And that simplifies a lot the process of testing. So look, npm run test, and then I hit enter. And then let's see what happened. The first time it will take a while, but eventually, you see, it's trying to run something. Look, the test runner identified that I got a test because it's a file with a test suffix. And then eventually it will show me the result of evaluating that test. You see, it's very slow, but don't worry about that, guys. It's not going to be that slow in your local machines. Yeah? Also, the first time is slower, but the next iterations will be faster. You see, you got the details of the test. Student component, that's the title. And then for each test, you get a green tick if the test passes, and you get a red cross if the test fails. So, for instance, if I type expect true to be false, you will see that now the test should fail. If the test passes, then there is something obviously wrong. So it's taking a while, but I'll tell you something. Tests should take less than a second to run in real life. Here you go. You see, it was very slow, but look, you see, it failed. So if I scroll to the top, you see the red cross I was talking about. Yes, standing for now, fail, a lot of red text around, and you know that's great because you can quickly see we expected false, however we received true. It points to the line where the test failed. You know, so I think it's quite cool. Yeah, it's very visual. It's very visual. All right, so that's the way you can set up a test in JavaScript. Do you have any questions so far? Okay, cool. So now I don't want to test if true is false or true is true, right? That's completely stupid. I want to test a real component. So the way you test a real component is, first of all, you have to import it. Import is certified from student, and then I can check returns should return false if conflicts task is less than 24. Yeah, so if I pass an object conflicts with task 23, that should return false. So now I got a question for you. Is this test gonna pass? That's interesting, Elena. Guys, is that import gonna work? You can't see what? Sorry. You can. Well, you should. Lauren, you should know. Just look at the folder structure. I got a file called student.test.js, and that file is importing another file called student in the same directory. Do we have a file called student.js in the student folder? No, not at all. So that's obviously not going to work. Look, this is, look, cannot find module student from student.test.js. That's wrong. That's not going to work. But that's the entire principle of TDD. You create a test, and the test should obviously fail. If you create a test following TDD principles and the test passes, what that means is that that test is completely pointless,
because you are not testing anything. So every time you create a test, the test should fail. And then you need to do the minimum, you need to do just what you need to do in order to fix that particular test. So let's do that. Let's create a new file called student.js, and then I will trigger some operations in that file. Let me show you something. It is very important, guys, when you work with TDD to feel comfortable with the layout, with your panels, windows, and everything. So when I do testing, that's a bit personal. But the way I've been doing TDD for many years now is by doing something like that. Look, that's my favorite layout. Hopefully you have a bit more space in the screen and it will work a bit better. But that's the idea. I got the test on the left-hand side, I got my source code on the right-hand side, and I got the test runner at the bottom. That's my favorite way of doing TDD. Why? Because, I mean, when you read a book or an article, how we read it, left to right. So first of all, I write the test, then I write the code, and then, I check the result. Yeah, so I go in that way somehow. All right. So, can anyone tell me what should I do in order to get that test working and be ready to answer this type of questions in a job interview? So I would like to encourage you to participate here. So can anyone help me to get that test passing? All right, so you tell me, Vicky. Do we need really to import React? I mean, are we even talking about React here, guys? This is just about JavaScript, yeah? I'm not even talking about React yet. Yeah, Elena? All right. What else? In an object, all right? All right? I'm not going to tell you if you're right or wrong. The test will tell you if you're right or wrong. It doesn't look right to me. Let me write it again just in case. So this is run. So, Vicky, you tell me, what do you want me to do? So, you want to return 24? Well, that's definitely a sensible opinion, Lauren. Look, guys, step by step. Is certified. How many arguments the is certified function receives? 1. All right, so we need to do something here, right? Maybe, I don't know. Call me crazy. Yeah. Call flicks 23. So you want to destructure it? No. All right, so you tell me, Lauren. Something like that. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you if you are right or wrong. Well, I'm going to tell you are wrong. But the thing is, the test runner will prove whether you are right or wrong, right? So what type of data, guys, Conflicts task is? Can we compare objects with numbers like that? Okay, so what else do we need to do here? Object.conflicts. So conflicts task refers to the object. Dot conflicts, we could talk about semantics, yeah, because that's a bit weird, but let's ignore the semantic readability. Yeah? Let's purely focus on the technical part. Conflicts is a property out of that object, so that's correct. That's gonna return 23. If conflicts task 23 is less than 24, so 23 less than 24 returns false, else return true. Do we really need the ternary operator, guys? If we remove it, that's it, right? That will return true or false. However, we're getting close, guys. I think we are moving in the right direction. However, that's not gonna work yet. That's a correct. That's a valid point, Lauren. Definitely, you will be certified if your conflict task is at least 24. Fantastic. However, not enough. That's gonna fail again. Yep, there is something wrong, guys. Are we exporting the function, guys? No, then it's not gonna be visible, right? It's not gonna be available. So what do you want me to do? Export default? I don't know, you tell me. Guys, default or non-default? Non-default. You see? Now we're doing the very minimum to satisfy the appetite of the test. So let's see if we run it again. We'll see what happened in this occasion. Look, fantastic, confetti time. Yeah. So now the test is passing. However, even though that's fantastic, that's great, we've done too much. Why? Because we got a single test. And the test is just expecting the component to be false. So the test wasn't asking us to check what happened, for instance, if the task number is at least 24. We are telling that if you finish 50 tasks, the function is returning true. However, the test is not opinionated. So we are breaking the TDD principles. Remember, if you add a test, let me add quickly a test. Should return true if conflicts task is greater or equal than 24. So if I add a test and the test passes straight away, that means we've gone too far. You see, to me, of course, we'll do that eventually. Eventually we'll do that. But that means that we build something too quickly. Yeah. So I'm gonna remove the second test, and I'm gonna show you what's the immediate way of solving the problem. Look, is that test gonna work? That should work. Yeah, that should work. You may be thinking that's just stupid, but hey, that's TDD, right? You have a test, and the thing is, the test returns false. So then let's put false, right? And now, obviously, let's add on the other way around. Should return true if conflict task is greater than 24. Is that gonna work? No. So then we are following the right steps. You create a test. Your test broke your app, as you can see here, and then and only then we fix whatever needs to be fixed. So now the test should work, as you will see in a second. You see? So now the test passes. Any questions? Can we destructure, guys, the conflict task argument? How we do that? That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, we got the same thing, but the code is even simpler. You see, our functionality is test-driven. We write the test, and then we do just as little as possible in order to satisfy the appetite of the test. That's why the code tends to be simpler when you follow TDD. Yeah, because you don't run too much. You just, you got the test and you fix that part of the code. Yeah? I'm gonna do two things now. Before wrapping up this session, so first of all, I'm gonna present you in Slack a couple of improvements. So I would like to ask you to continue working on this exercise. So I'm going to present you some business expectations, like, all right, so conflict tasks should be at least 24, but also you should get a score of 40 on React and a score of 30 in JavaScript. I just made it up, yeah? So I'm trying to add some complexity to the exercise. So I would like to invite you to continue working on it. We could run more sessions about testing. Actually, Vicky is presenting another session about React shortly. But to me, the point is you need to practice. I couldn't be talking about testing for 100 hours. But in reality, the way you learn testing is by practicing. Guys, I'm gonna be very raw, very crystal clear. Your ability to make a lot of money in this industry will depend on your ability to do TDD. That's up to you. Yeah, I cannot be, I think, more transparent. So if you want my personal advice, start testing everything now, following TDD. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna send you some questions on Slack, and of course, I would like you to practice with these questions. If you manage to solve the questions, let me know, and you'll get some extra points in the board challenge. One final but little detail. You will find out, guys, and this is some sort of, you don't need to agree with everything, of course, and I'm going to present you one of these occasions where I don't agree with the community, and you may like my point of view or you may not like it. It's one of the things that everyone does. Don't ask me why, but once you tell them they are wrong, they tend to change their mind. Let me show you the problem. You will find in many occasions that developers type should return, should display, should set, should get, should fetch. The verb should is all around. Yeah, I'm against that, because if you said should, it's like, yeah, probably, in theory, ideally, yeah. Guys, testing should be a bold activity. It's not should or shouldn't. No. Must. It's a little detail, but this is one of the things that if in the middle of a job interview you prove that, the employer doesn't necessarily have to agree, but you are proving your programming culture. Yeah? Be bold with your statements when talking about tests. The test should pass all the time. It's not should or shouldn't, depending on whether it's Tuesday or Friday. Yeah, the test should pass. This must pass, actually. And if you actually don't like to, you feel that it's a bit aggressive or unnecessary, just simplify it. Returns. That's it, right? Keep it simple. That's it. Cool. Anything else, guys? Yep. Go for it. As everything, Elena, as everything. So when you're a junior developer, you are not expected to do anything right at all. Yeah. But the thing is, it's like playing lottery. You need to do something different. And a junior developer will be always expected to have a basic understanding about JavaScript, basic understanding about React, basic understanding about HTML and CSS, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. So if you know a bit of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React, you are definitely in a good position to fight for a job. However, again, you'll be competing against other developers with the same skills. So you need to outstand. You need to prove you can do something differently. You can do something better than them. Yeah? Testing is a good example. If you prove that, of course, you don't know anything about testing. No one knows everything about testing. But if you prove at least the attitude, like I like testing, I created this small project. Look, I wrote some tests. That's the attitude. That's the attitude. One of the most exhausting things when working with junior developers is the number of bugs they introduce in the code. And they introduce bugs because they don't test the code. So I would prefer to bring to my team someone with less experience, with, not as able to write code as others, but with the right mindset of, hey, I know little, but the few things I know will work because I'm going to test them. You see? So that sort of attitude is very important. Yep. Anything else? No? So once again, guys, back to you in the Slack now, and it's up to you. I'm not going to force you to continue writing tests. I'm just trying to let you know that testing is important. Yeah. So I'm going to actually share that snippet with you, and I would like just to add some extra tests, which is going to be quite easy. Yeah. So that was it from my side, guys. Let me know if you need anything. Thank you.